Are we up? Are we live? Sweet. We are good. Let me double check, make sure our audio levels sound good. I don't want to be out here looking like a fool. Let's check it out on Twitch. Give me a second. 1 second. All right, perfect. All right, hello there. Good morning. Today is April 6th, 2022. I've had a pretty solid morning. I'm off to a really good start. And I'm jumping straight into homework. Yeah, I'm going to be doing my sociology homework. It's pretty simple. I'm just going to drill it. We have a couple articles, a couple PowerPoints I'm going to go through. Just stuff. Extra credit assignment. I always do my extra credit. Another PowerPoint video, some video about some girl that gets, she's like trapped in a house for super long, like something along those lines. But yeah, that's what we're going to be drilling through. So let's get to it, Jump on this PowerPoint. Where you at? Right here. There it is. So yeah, and you guys can kind of just see how I do my workflow to study. Like I'm quick, like these assignments. It's funny because they dropped this assignment yesterday. It's due on the 11th. Today is August 6th, and I'm finishing it all today. Like I don't leave it till last minute. Like the second it's out, I'm turning it in. So yeah, the way I drill through these, like, what's it called? PowerPoints is just go through them. Like I look for things that stand out to me. Like this is not important, so by default, like, why am I going to read that? Blah, blah, blah. Yep, that's still all just blah to me. But yeah, I just screen out and try to look. I mean, sometimes they have highlighted things, like this. This is important. That's something I need to read. That too. Yeah, not too bad. Not too shabby. Those are just questions to get you thinking. Habitualization and institutionalization. See, this is important. Education and learning are comprised of multiple acts that, when repeated over time, create what we call the institution of education. The material implements of education are paper, books, pencils, pens, buildings, chairs, whiteboards, etc. And non-material aspects are theories and techniques of teaching and learning. Habitualization and institutionalization. Habitualization describes how any pattern, any action that is repeated frequently becomes a pattern. Blah 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 blah. Habits. So habitualization is just a fancy word for saying habits. For example, what is that? Intimidation, repeating and calling, blah blah blah, which are cast into patterns. Interesting. Convention or norm into society. I didn't know that. Institutionalization. All right, so institutionalization then is making it normal to be against certain groups or demographics. So I guess at least one thing we're seeing right now in the United States society, whatever, is the institutionalization of people being against white men. Like you hear a lot of that ideology behind being against older white men. That's like a stigma. That's a thing right now, and it kind of sucks, because I'm like, I don't know. There's obviously bad people in that demographic, but that goes for any demographic. It's not just white people, white old people that are like that. I know bad black old people, bad Mexican old people. It's like every demographic it's just a person. You can't stereotype or label certain people just because you've encountered, or that's your interpretation or how you encounter people like that, Self-fulfilling prophecy. In education, children are voted being cast as slow learners or disruptive students. I think that's a good point too. I hate this whole notion that our schools are built co-ed. I think they're boys and girls learn completely different from one another, and the way the school system's built now is ideally tailored towards girls. Boys are way more energetic. They need to be moving around and doing different things. But the structure that we have for the way we learn today is like perfect for girls, but for boys they need more stimuli and to be out and about. You can't sit a child in a class to not do shit for 6-8 hours in a day. You're killing him, and that's stupid. I think that's one of the big things I want to do is education reform. Day by day, year by year, and from one teacher to the next, these labels can follow them and become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Even if originally untrue, children may live up to negative expectations for lack of positive interventions from authority figures. The storyline of the self-fulfilling prophecy appears in many literary works, perhaps most famously in the story of Oedipus. Oedipus is told by an oracle that he will murder his father and marry his mother. In going out of his way to avoid his fate, Oedipus inadvertently fulfills it. Oedipus' story illustrates one way in which members of society contribute to the societal construction of reality. Role strain and role conflict. A teacher who works at a local high school is also head of the football coach. He's competitive and frequently bullied his younger siblings when they were kids, now an adult. He's an authority figure and responsible for the well-being of his students. He might experience role strain due to his statuses as both the older brother, faculty member, and coach. Yeah. Or role conflict. No, I don't know the difference. Role strain, I think this is role conflict. Yeah. You know what? I don't know. I actually really don't know. A recently divorced mother struggling with single parenting. Without her ex partner's daily presence, she must do it all. Displaying love and compassion for her children is a challenge when she must enforce household rules too. She has a case of role. All right, this is role conflict. This is role strain. Uh, dramaturgy. Dramaturgy. Blah, blah, blah. Our day-to-day interactions are like those of actors on a stage. A job interview, a class presentation, or even a trip to the grocery store places us in social situations where we act out of many parts. We follow the role expectations for job applicants by appearing interested, knowledgeable. Dude, that's so true. Why do you want to work here? Oh, I love moving grocery store items from left to right, and mature to improve our chances of being hired. Think back to a time you prepared for a class presentation and how does a consumer behave while shopping? You examine the product, you might touch them or try them on to determine if they are right for you. You might ask a question of a salesperson. In some, job applicants, presenters, consumers, and salespersons are all statuses, social positions that each have behaviors associated with them. Role expectations. Dramaturgy. How do you pronounce that? Theory emphasizes how these social situations unfold through our own behavior, but also how we help others perform their roles. For example, students in a class listen to the presenter. They might ask questions and applaud at the conclusion. Our actions reinforce our social roles as well as the roles of others. So act your role. I think to further on like this point is the idea of being a chameleon. That's one thing, because like a lot of people identify as whatever they feel most comfortable identifying as. But in my opinion, I feel like you need to situate and like delve into whatever role it is in your surroundings. It's like the best example I can put is like punks, so it's like if you're, so this is a punk, right? Punk rocker. So this is a punk, right? This guy's a punk. He identifies as a punk. That's what his social status is. Cool. Dress the part. If you're going to a punk show, you're hanging out with your homies, that's cool. Maybe even if your job allows it. Cool. But now he goes to a wedding. and many punks do this, and I've seen it, you know, where it's like a more social, like more upper end, for lack of a better word, but more professional setting, and they go dress like this because they're a punk. They identify as a punk. And in my opinion, I disagree. You know, it's like dress the part. Like if you're gonna go dress in a suit, look good. You can still be punk, but you don't have to be punk everywhere 24/7. And that doesn't just mean just punks. You know, like if you're a meathead, if you go to the gym all the time, you know, so like don't go everywhere dressed up in gym attire, you know. Dress the part. And I feel like this is extremely controversial, but like gay people, you know, it's like you don't have to be, and like they're gonna be like, yeah, you don't have to be gay everywhere, you know. It's like we get it, you're gay, but at the same time, it's like you don't have to like okay, it's fine, you know. You don't have to be blatantly gay to everyone everywhere all the time. Like just be yourself. Ugh, and that's contradicting. It's just people. I think what I'm trying to say is that people take on a role or some status in society, and then they feel that they have to be that person all the time, 24/7. I'm everyone, dude. I'm a scholar. Right now, I'm a scholar, right? But then you catch me at a punk rock show, and I'm a punk. You catch me at the gym, I'm the biggest meathead you'll ever see. You know, it's like I'm out there like roids, taking the selfies. I'm the douchebag, you know, because that's what you do at a gym. That's you just delve into that culture. But I mean, what else? If I'm making art, I'm an artist, and I'm like in my zone, in my head, like doing that. You know, if I'm with my friends, I'm fucking around. If I'm in a professional setting, I stay focused. I stay like well attentive, networking, and I speak well. You know, chameleon. Yeah, I read that. Looking glass self. Blah blah blah. We imagine how we look. We imagine how we look to others. Huh. All right. So the question says carefully read the facial expressions one at a time and consider the conclusions you would draw if people had these expressions on their face when they looked at you. This guy is funny. I want to hang out with him. This guy's eager. He is a tryhard. This guy is mellow, kind of low status. This guy's looking for a fight. I do not want to be around him. This guy kind of looks like he's fucking around. That guy's funny. Like he's just fucking around. I can't take him seriously. This guy needs to sneeze. Yeah, this guy. I don't know what he's up to. You know, like that guy's in his own head. This guy's alert. Like he's stressed. Something bad's gonna happen. This guy's confused or stoned out of his mind, and this guy's excited. So let's see. I would hang out with this guy. I'd for sure easily hang out with that guy. No. I'd hang out with that guy just because he's fucking around. That guy's funny. No. Yeah, I'd only hang out with these two. Those two are like the only ones I feel like hanging out with. Blah blah blah. Other contextual examples of if the person's looking at you as your boss, romantic partner, or police officer. Imagine you're the receiver of each facial expression is poor or homeless, and the other person is middle or upper class. Also note the influence of authority and power in these examples. How can the relative authority and power of the individual's influence in these social actions affect responses and facial expressions? I like this guy, dude. I'm like stoked on life with this guy. To viewers, welcome in. I'm doing my sociology homework. The exercise was to look at these guys and make an interpretation. This was chapter 4, so that leaves that. Let's see, recording. I don't know if I want to do this on stream. I guess I could do this exercise. Let's see what it has to do. Sample statuses. Draw a large circle and then slice the circle into pieces like a pie, labeling each piece with the status you occupy. Okay, which of your statuses are ascribed and which are achieved? Don't forget things like dog owner, gardener. Oh my goodness. This is so funny because I literally posted something like this a couple days ago. Uh. All right, well, no one's on here, so I guess we could go through this. Let's drill it out.
So we're here in chapter 4, Society and Social Interaction. I'm going to say a few words about Cooley's looking myself and dramaturgy theory, and also called dramaturgical analysis. And so I chose those two theories to discuss from your material for chapter 4 because questions.
While she talks, I'm going to start working on that extra credit assignment, just keeping an eye out to see if I find something. Oh wait, hold up. Let me double check and make sure that the audio isn't all jacked because I'm playing both. All right, let's try again. Where you at? Not that one. Boom, boom. This one goes here. Play.
Then actually is the case. So I mean, what does that mean? So let's think about first just Cooley's looking glass self, and I'm going to.
You know what? That's fine. That is fine. Does this work? This better work. That is fine. Alright, swag. Alright, cool. So I was gonna do this. Close that. School. New folder. This is Sociology 10. Create. New sheet. So she can keep talking.
Come over here to this slide. So Cooley, Charles Gordon Cooley, made the observation, developed this observation of the looking glass self and developed theory as he just observed his children and noticing the impact that he had on his children. They seemed to be reading him. They seemed to be communicating with him not only orally, but they were communicating with him as far as examining his body with his facial expressions. So there were so when you think about communication in that way, then we realize that it's not just about what we say, but it's making other observations. Are the words that we're saying, are they consistent with maybe the expressions on our faces or the way that our body language is? Or if we're telling someone we care about them very much and we love them, but yet our arms are crossed, then that's kind of a contradictory message, at least within American culture and probably many Western cultures with a Western European influence. So there's some similarities culturally with communication. So the theory of the looking glass self, we imagine how we look at others, draw conclusions based upon reactions to us, and then we develop our personal sense of self. So this reflexive process is really very seamless, and it can even occur without our awareness of it, and that is really, it starts getting into, I think, helping us to understand how socialization happens, how the socialization process happens, because each of these interactions that we have with individuals, and we can think about our primary groups and our secondary groups, interactions we have with our primary group members, people who are very close to us, who we have personal relationships with, then maybe a disappointing look or a puzzled look can affect us in a certain way. When if it is a stranger or someone who's a part of a secondary group, maybe it's just a group of shoppers in the store, if we get that look, we might kind of blow that off or not pay too much attention to that. So our reactions are certainly influenced by the relationship that we share with individuals. So again, primary groups, relationships with those individuals are more close and personal, whereas the secondary groups are more impersonal, and they're more focused on achieving a certain goal. If I'm a shopper in a store, if someone looks at me kind of crazy, I might later come home and or tell a friend or a family member about the incident, but it may not affect my sense of self. But if it's someone who's closer to me, then it might have more of a deeper impact upon the way that I think of myself. So let me explain it this way: is that it's more of it's rather than either or dynamic. I think to understand how people affect us, we should think about it on a continuum. So think about it as a range. So if we think of a range of reactions that we might have. If someone is close to us, then people are close to us, or primary group members, then those reactions that we have can be more impactful. But even once we start getting into secondary group members, it even can vary according to who those people are. And so maybe it's a
gym rat, student, real estate agent. Shit, what else did I do?
An angry look.
I'm Designer,
the way that we think of ourselves. So we internalize that look, and sometimes it can
artist,
embed itself, in our mind, and still see,
streamer. As I stream,
see the look on the face. You can hear maybe the disappointment in their voice, depending upon what the otherwise
uh,
is, or if it's a positive interaction. There are
what
memories
other
stored reactions that we have, and
options
that's
were
part of
there?
what then Cooley was talking about. So this is a micro level sociological approach, and we
Tooth
can contrast
Fairy.
that with some macro level theories that don't get into individual perceptions or definitions of reality. What I
I'm a
really think
dog
of
owner.
myself, I think of many incidences in my life, but I also
Card
think
owner.
about one particular time when I
Let's
was
see, dog owner.
I was at a I think I was at an assembly, and I was with a friend of mine, and we both played flute, and I was
Traveler.
with my friend walking out of the assembly in elementary school, and the principal happened to be standing there, and she asked us a question about our involvement in it was an area of
What
honor
else
band.
do I do?
And
School,
so
work,
I have participated in honor
gym.
band before, but that particular time transportation was a problem, and transportation was not provided. So I think the previous time I participated in honor band, transportation was provided because the practices were held outside of our district, and it was a collaboration of students from area elementary schools who were coming together for this honor band. And so she asked
Business.
how I was enjoying the honor band. I remember saying, "Oh, I quit," and for some reason I took pride in saying that I had quit. And I, this was a long time ago, but I still remember, the look on her, the expression on her face,
Delete.
and I remember
What else do I do?
that, oh, I guess quitting something is it's not something to brag about. So it was an interesting experience, but I internalized that. I internalized her reaction, and I think thereafter it really kind of had an impact. Not just it made me rethink the situation and rethink the efforts that I made,
Family.
the desire that I had to participate, with this activity.
Family man.
But it was.
I guess that's probably the best way to put it.
It was out of my control, as I was probably 12 years old, and I was not driving at that point. And then as you know, if you
Alright, that's fine. Gym rat. Alright, which one takes the most amount of time? This is probably like 15% of my time.
To jump back in, into it, and you start to feel like you're not part of the group any longer. There's information that you missed, and you have to catch up. And so it presents, more barriers, for you. And sometimes it can be a relief, and I think it can be a relief to not, do it any longer because it does become increasingly difficult. And I think, as as a kid, that was probably what I realized is that I wanted so much to participate, but it was out of my control.
Equals.
And I was having difficulty doing that because of transportation.
Oh, thank God.
That I didn't have to do it any longer.
Family man. This takes up a lot of my time. A traveler. I think that's another 10. Dog owner, like 3. Streamer, like 3. I'm more of a dog owner than that then. 5. Artist. Oh, I spend quite a bit of time designing and being an artist. Artist, let's say 15 too. Designer, this is like 10. Designing. Gym rat, this is like 20% of my time. 93. Student, definitely 20 then. Damn it.
So as I note here with the looking glass self, so what Cooley noted was, it was when we observe the expression on someone's face or listen to what they're saying, it's like looking in a mirror, and we internalize those reactions that individuals have, and so it's a reflexive
This one's
process.
for us.
Right
That's
here.
like
So
8.
we think about what we've observed, we draw conclusions. As I drew conclusions in the example that I provided to you, then we develop our personal sense of self. So at that, so when that occurs,
Dog owner, travelers probably more. 12. 102 minus 2, designer 7. Perfect.
Thinking about a positive experience with the looking glass self, maybe someone gives us a positive response for quitting something. Imagine if that was the situation that I had described. What kind of impact might that have on a child? That may lead to quitting more frequently, not feeling bad about quitting, not being having a hard time finishing something, completing something, which can be extremely detrimental to just getting through school, getting through each level of school, which are really critical in order for us to reach a point where we're able to be self-sufficient as adults.
Perfect.
And I've heard many times that from various people that there are subjects in school that are irrelevant and you never use them, but one of the major kind of objectives of school is being able to pay attention, to listen, to follow directions, to get along with others, and to complete tasks, to be able to focus in on a task and be able to kind of incrementally chip away at that task and not always look for instance, immediate gratification, because with education it may not be immediate, and probably much of it is not immediate. So it is. So it's not always an issue about enjoying a subject matter or having someone as adults ask us some historical facts. It's really about our ability to develop a sense of self and develop a sense of self-efficacy, meaning that are you able to kind of take control and kind of see yourself as someone who can get through life and accomplish the tasks that you need to accomplish. And so the looking glass self is really very critical to that. Another theory that is part of chapter 4 is
Alexa, read my notifications.
And Irving Goffman developed this theory. So the theories in this chapter are micro-level theories, and for
Shut up.
him,
Alexa, shut up.
dramatic analysis is an analytical tool to understand interactions in society. So and so we compared life and to a play, and so then people are actors, as I have here, actors on the stage, and we kind of
Insert
engage, and the way that we engage
drawing
with society
image PNG.
is similar to the way that actors would behave on stage. So there's front stage when they're actually on stage, and there's backstage. There's behavior that is more appropriate, styles of dress, language
Times New
that are more
Roman
appropriate for
12.
around people who we have more formal relationships with. And when we're backstage, we may we kind of let our guard down a little bit. But I think the secret is, it's not really a secret, but the secret, I'm still call it the secret, is that even when we're backstage, we're still on stage. We're still on that metaphorical
I
stage.
got that.
So then even
Social interaction
with
exercise.
interacting with loved ones, with our parents or with our romantic partner, we're still fulfilling some type of
Command
status and role
C.
within society, and that doesn't quite go away. So everything that we are, who we are, is a compilation. It's combined with all of the social positions that we hold in our lives. So being an employee, being a friend, being a driver, being throwing out the debates, being exercise, jogger, whatever you do for exercise, being a neighbor. All of those things are combined, and they impact who we are. But it's always kind of a role that we are playing. We become aware as we grow up, as we interact with others in society.
Which are ascribed or achieved. Ascribed.
And then we internalize that, and when we're in situations when we are, around people who see us, primarily as a
Family man.
or we're around people who primarily see us as a neighbor or a friend, we, quickly switch and we go into, we recall, this is all happening pretty quickly. It's not, something that we necessarily have to stop and really think about. It's
Dog
neighbor,
owner.
I don't go, I don't go over and try to have some intimate conversation.
And
with
artist.
Neighbors, and at least for me and for many others, neighbors are people who we have more formal relationships with, and so that guides our behavior. So again, going back to what I mentioned about this secret, when we're thinking about
I guess designer could go up here too.
if we have, let's say we do have a close person friend, and they're telling you that actually this was a relative. I had a relative who told me that his lizard had died, and it was a lizard he had for a little bit of time. And
Say hi.
So maybe it was easier for me to show some compassion for this lizard he had for a while, time. But but imagine if I didn't like lizards. Imagine if it was just some type of animal that scared me or didn't really care about. And still, because based upon the relationship I have with the individual I'm speaking with, and this was a family member, then I knew, regardless of how I personally felt about lizards, that I saw that it was upsetting to him, and I communicated appropriate compassion. And again, it doesn't matter what I personally thought about what the animal was, or if I would have wanted a lizard for myself. Still, again, this is kind of a
Achieved.
I still put my hat on as being not just a relative, but a relative that cared about this individual and cared that he was sad for losing his pet. So even when we are around primary group members, people who we have more informal relationships with, there is still a little bit of playing a role. We play at being a good mother, a good father. There are goodness knows there are many parents that aren't cut out to be parents. There are people who end up being parents, whether it was intentional or not. But they may not always be good at it. But when they're around their children, they probably fall back on what they learned are the lines that parents should say, how you are to interact with your children, how to show care, how to show your children that care about them. And so that's like being an actor on stage, and that's going on all the time.
9
Even
plus.
if we are, see ourselves as maybe a rebel or a rude person, we're still following our understanding of what a rude person is and what a rebel is. It's not something that we're making up ourselves. It's something that we learned in society. And so when we're in particular situations, we fall back on what we've learned in society. So it is like being an actor. We say our roles. We maybe use profanity. So it's not something that's unique to.
In which ones are there role conflicts? Role conflicts between student and real estate agent. Occur between a student and a real real estate agent. Agent.
Help others maintain their performance. So they may, even if they didn't find it funny, they may still laugh along, or they may say, you have your own unique way of kind of looking at things. So comments like that are ways that we help people maintain their performance, and that's a part of living in society, living in a group environment. So even if we don't like somebody, we still may use something or say something in order to help them maintain their performance. So within other types of terms like impression management become
all other roles.
So there are all of those kind of ways that we can more fully think about a drama, people being actors. Some of those terms apply here with
4. In which do you experience role strain in a single status
theories. So I hope you have maybe some examples that kind of came to mind about how dramaturgy has applied to you, how you use it to kind of analyze various situations. And so, to repeat, theories are explanations of something.
As an artist,
there are a variety of theories within sociology as well as in various disciplines that are
I experience role strain due to varying interests, always leading me to work on new projects. Okay, that's good. Now I believe we're here, and we're already working on it. Perfect. You do not need to include your drawing. I've listed the questions. Ah, crap. 2, 3. Okay, cool. Ranging from CAD work to painting or designing, ranging from CAD work to painting to designing websites or even making music. 4, add any other comments you are comfortable sharing and I really enjoyed realize in what areas I should be spending more time in, period. Perfect. All right, cool. Reply. Watch me be the first one. You know how I know? Because I'm always first, baby. Upload image. Chart. Open. And then, okay, submit. And where you at? Come on. We can turn all these in. Damn it. Command C. Blah, 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 blah. Frick. How do I make a list in this thing? Nope, that ain't it. No. Is it this one? There it is. Come on. Boom. Boom. Command C. Command V2. Command C. Command V. Command C. Command V. And that's it. Boom, boom. What is this? Image file name should not be used as the chart. Okay, that's fine. I don't care. Blah, 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 blah. Cancel post reply. What did I say? First one. Like always. I'm always first. I'm number one. Alright, so that's done. I can close this. I can close that. Social interactions, I don't need that either. We can pop this one and make it big. And that is done. Damn, I'm on fire, dude. Alright, so I just need to do this and I'm done with this assignment or this homework for the week. So let's drill through this PowerPoint once more. Sociology, socialization is the way we learn norms and beliefs in our system. From our earliest family to play experience, we are made of societal values and expectations. Blah, 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 blah. Look at them, like monkeys. Korea, don't accept the dish or glass with one hand. Do accept the glass or dish using both hands. Why? I didn't know this. This applies when accepting food or drink from elders. It's all about the culture of respect, which using both hands demonstrates. Similarly, we don't start eating until the eldest person. Huh. Socialization teaches us our society's expectations for dining, the manners and customs for different cultures. When can you use your hands to eat? How should you compliment the cook? Who is the head of the table? Are learned through socialization. I'm the head of the table, in case you're wondering. Identical twins might look alike, but their differences can give us clues to the effects of socialization. Studies in separate twins who lived in different social class environments emphasize the impact of our surroundings and lifestyles on personality and health. Huh, that's interesting. They actually did it. Huh. The socialized roles of dads and moms varied by society. In many patriarchal cultures, men occupy public positions of economic and political leadership, while women occupy private caretaking positions in the home. The social expectations of women and men may change as a result of factors like a high cost of living and subsequent need for both men and women to earn an income. Emphasize work and career over parenthood. While on the shifting economy, there are more portrayals of women working in film, social media, television, books, etc. We're socializing in many ways. These kindergartners aren't just learning to read and write. They're being socialized to norms by keeping their hands to themselves, standing in line, and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. School is a major agent of socialization. What messages about beauty and women's bodies do children receive from these images? Huh. I wonder. Some people are concerned about the way girls today are socialized into a princess culture. The princess culture affects boys as well. What character films were most influential for you as a child? How were female and male characters portrayed? What messages did those portrayals communicate about gender roles? Age transition points require socialization into new roles that can vary widely between societies. Young adults in America are encouraged to enter college and the workforce right away. Students in England and India can take a year off, like British Prince William and Harry did, while young men in Singapore and Switzerland must serve time in the military. In basic training, members of the Air Force are taught to walk, move, and look like each other. The physical and emotional transitions that recruits undergo are symbolized by their haircuts, use of surnames instead of first names, and intense physical training. Collectively, this amounts to the process of re-socialization. Huh, I need to re-socialize everyone. That's my job. Okay, cool. We did that. This is done. Time for the recording. 15
Let's talk
minutes.
a little bit about chapter 5, socialization, and some of the applications to secret language, which is about
I started this assignment like 30 minutes ago.
found in severe
It's
isolation.
I have like 7 days to do it, and I'm gonna finish
So
it
using
in
the film to discuss really social
probably an
interactions,
hour.
some terms from social interaction, chapter 4, and
Perks of being quick.
socialization. Because when we see people who experience severe isolation, social isolation, particularly children, then it really draws attention to how much of a tremendous impact that society has upon us. So first, when we're talking about socialization, we're talking about the process by which we learn culture, and we learn culture through social interaction. That is how we learn the social norms of society, so the behaviors that are considered appropriate for us. That is how we learn values, what are standards of desirability, what is important, should be important to us. And there are probably many things, hopefully you can think of, that maybe are important to you. And but society has defines that for us. And there may be, within any society, there are a whole range of values that we can possibly have. And then based upon the social interaction that we had growing up, so that is through the individuals that we interacted with in our primary groups, as well as through mass media portrayals, mass media images that we encountered.
I just read all of this in the PowerPoint. I need you to give me something good.
What should be a value? So then what we end up with is kind of a subset of all the possible values that we can possibly
Dude,
have.
Kanye dropping out is so whack from Coachella.
So we
That's some bullshit, dude.
Run in the same environment, but maybe some of their values maybe vary a little bit, and that doesn't.
Honestly, I've dropped off of
disprove,
Kanye. He
they
does
recognize
doing
that
shit like
socialization or
that, you know?
socialization is happening. It just means that
So
there are a whole
irritating.
range of values that we can possess and we can learn through the socialization process. So even if someone is from your own household and you have different values, so those values can come not just from your families, from your parents, or from your other relatives, grandparents and siblings, and the values that you internalize and adopt for your own. Sometimes you have more control over that, sometimes less. But those values also come from our peer group and maybe some of the activities that we participated in that gave us a positive self-concept. And for example, maybe if one sibling was very much involved in competitive sports, then their value system may be different from someone who was not rewarded for participating in competitive sports. Maybe they were more interested in academics and just focusing on learning, and maybe kind of observing insects and being curious about insects. And
Wait, what did
that
she
can,
say? I
our
missed that.
values can play a part or can be a part of learning. And maybe kind of if one sibling was very much involved in competitive sports, then their value system may be different from maybe someone who was not rewarded for participating in competitive sports. Maybe they were more interested in academics and just focusing on learning, and maybe kind of observing insects and being curious about insects. And that can, so our values can play a part or can be a part of the families that we grew up in, environments we grew up in, but also kind of sources of kind of reinforcement, positive reinforcement we receive during our lives. So values can be constructed from that as well. So socialization continues to happen throughout our lifetimes, and it may mean that we're always kind of learning and having to adapt to different social situations. And I recall telling a class once that I remember thinking, years ago that as people age, then you kind of really get the hang, kind of know what's happening, kind of understand life, and so forth. And so what I told my students is that for me, what I find, and I'm sure it's true for some others, is that it's always something new. So you're encountering an age that you've never been, and so it presents. And so then you're interacting with society through kind of a new in this new persona, as this person who is a particular age or in a particular age group. So you might have mastered a younger age group, something you experienced for maybe a decade, but then you're into maybe a new decade, and then you start a new age group. And so then there's there are a whole set of circumstances that you may be presented with that are completely unfamiliar. And maybe people don't interact with you the way they interacted with you before. They don't treat you in the same way. So we're always responding to it's a very dynamic process. So our sense of self comes from this kind of dynamic process of interaction between ourselves and others, and it is affected, it's mediated by our characteristics that we have, such as our age, our ethnic group, our race, our sex, our sexual orientation, our physical ability, mental ability. So they're all different kind of factors that influence the way that we interact with others. And they have some cross-cutting influences. And so by cross-cutting influences, that means that someone who is maybe a male of a particular religious faith, the interactions that he has may be very different from someone else who also is a male, but maybe they're of a different faith. Maybe one person wears traditional clothing for his religious faith, and the other individual does not. So then, so there isn't just a male experience. There isn't even just an experience that a male who is faithful, who is religious, can experience. So there are other factors, in other words, that can influence the way that we engage with society, and people kind of respond to us. So that is that kind of influences our socialization process. This process of learning culture, and culture being that way of life. So this is always happening, like with a new job, maybe becoming a parent for the first time. So we have to learn how to do that. There's re-socialization, which implies that there was previous socialization that may not be suitable, may not be relevant maybe to a new a particular environment. So often with re-socialization, what can occur is that there is kind of a breaking down of the previous adaptation that we learned, and then we have to relearn. So if we are an inmate going into prison, then we go through it's a correctional facilities. So then there's a re-socialization process that occurs.
I wish this could go faster.
The intention is to kind of break down what someone was previously doing, the social norms they accepted as being the norms that they should abide by.
Imagine listening to that in person, I can't do that. I love online lectures, especially when they record it. Imagine this.
That will enable them to successfully reintegrate into society depending upon crime and so forth circumstances. Nice. So that's a little bit about socialization and re-socialization. So let's in all ways, once we as humans, once we undergo successful socialization, we learn this kind of existence. We kind of internalize the existence of the generalized other, and the generalized other is the society that's out there, whose judgments that we and let me back up. Society is kind of an audience, and so when we've been socialized, then we, as I mentioned before, we learn about social norms, values, beliefs that that exist within society. We learn appropriate ways of dressing and speaking, conducting ourselves. And so all of those lessons that we learn are kind of encapsulated in this kind of internalized voice, and that's kind of the generalized other. So it's society. So even if we are, let's say that we learn about appropriate ways of dressing, and so in the morning you're say you're getting up and you're getting ready to go to work or go to school in normal times, and then at some point you may have that little voice in your head thinking, oh, is this appropriate for school, or is this appropriate for work? What might and you might actually be able to imagine what some people would say if they saw the way that you are the way you're dressed. Well, that's successful socialization, meaning that you internalize the standards of society, and you don't need someone to constantly tell you about what society is going to think. You have it in your head. And sometimes it's hard to get rid of it, and that's the socialization process. That's really the goal of socialization. So this is just something that happens in society. As a sociologist, as well as other scholars, they are kind of documenting what they're able to observe, and we document these things through, I mentioned observation, but think about research methods. We can document these things through participating in ethnographies, or rather conducting ethnographies by conducting surveys, using survey research method, or using participant observation. So there are a variety of ways that we gather this information as scientists. So also with the film, I was interested in applying some kind of integrating information that you learned in chapter 4 of social interaction, and kind of combining that with socialization. So the material overlaps, and with various chapters. So when we move forward to a new chapter, of course, we're not just kind of getting rid of what we learned before. It remains relevant to future subject matter that we are studying. So so apply the term status. We describe status, achieve status, status set, role, conflict, set to the film. So generally with status, I usually define status as a social position. That's the way I think of status. And so there are various positions that we can hold within a society. So, and we've talked about, I'm sure I mentioned a few of them. So we can be a teacher, we can be a student, we can be a romantic partner, we can be someone who's an enlisted soldier, we can be someone who is a congressperson. So there are a variety of positions that we hold, including.
I guess I did that wrong.
Etc. So with each of those statuses.
But that's what she said. She said that that's what she believes.
And we learn what those roles are just through the socialization process. We learn it from those close to us, such as our family members, and we observe that the way that older people behave, those who are having an influence on us and socializing us, helping us to adapt to our culture, learn our culture. So that's one way that we pick up on roles and behaviors that are appropriate for a particular status. We also engage in interaction with mass media. So it may be the internet, it may be film, television. So all of those are relevant. Maybe print media. So all of those are like books. So those are relevant, and also kind of giving us an idea as to what appropriate behaviors are. Ascribe status, achieve status is described. You're born into them, or we assume them involuntarily. Achieve status, we've done something to obtain that particular social position, so that can be positive or negative, even though we tend to think of achieve as being a positive. But if we are someone who is not a good friend, for instance, and we end up being someone who is friendless or socially isolated, it may be because we are not a good, we do not fit the idea of what a good friend is. We haven't conformed to the role expectations of what a good friend is. And so if someone ends up being friendless or befriended, then it might be, we might be able to see that as an achieved status, meaning the individual has done something in order to obtain that status. So all of the statuses that we hold.
I have like 2 friends. Just because I don't like to waste my time doing dumb friend shit.
Master status is
hang out and get beers and.
Master status is a social position that dominates all
Leave me alone.
So we may have our own personal idea of what our master statuses are. It may be something that maybe consumes most of our time. But in some instances, others, people around us, sometimes I refer to them as the audience, sometimes they kind of tell us what they think our master status is, or maybe they are kind of bestowing master status just based on their impressions and their background, their socialization process, what they see as significant. So that could be maybe if you are a female and you are majoring in engineering, and maybe throughout your college years, you try, let's say you're in your second year, and maybe in your first year, you kind of saw yourself as a student, just like any other student in this engineering program. And maybe what you saw as your master status was, if you enjoy it, you're enthusiastic about this field of study. Maybe your master status is, I'm an engineering major. This is my identity. It's something that I enjoy. But maybe, as we go further in our coursework and start getting into kind of the upper division classes, that female may find that there are fewer and fewer females in those classes that she's taking. And others who are her classmates may even see her sex as being her master status. They may make comments about her sex. Her professors might make comments about, oh, you're the only female in class. So it may not necessarily be something that is meant in a disparaging way or something negative. But those comments, those observations can then give this female student the message that, oh, I guess I am the only female in this class, and it can just change. So this is similar to the looking glass self. So there's a reflexive process that's happening, meaning that we kind of observe how others are acting towards us, their facial expressions, body language, and then we kind of think about what those mean, we interpret the meanings of those expressions, and then we make sense of them. And so it can come out in different ways. So for some females who are in male-dominated fields, they may feel empowered, and they feel like, yes, I'm here, I love this. I'm not getting rid of me. I'm not changing my major just because there are very few other females in this discipline. Or some people may feel discouraged. They may feel like I don't belong. People keep referring to me as the only female in the class, as opposed to focusing on my work, focusing on how much I know. So master status can be, and there are a variety of other examples that we can use for that. But master status can be, we can define that for ourselves. We think have some kind of idea or for ourselves what our master status is, or status that dominates all others. But then other people may as well. And sometimes it can be surprising, and I've certainly encountered that, where based upon comments that people made to me, and just struck me as odd or surprising. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that's how you were thinking about me, because that's not what I was thinking. So it's kind of similar to the female, in the classroom, the lone female in the classroom field study. Okay, and so I mentioned role. Role is behavior, and then we have a set of behaviors that go along with different statuses or social positions. So those during the course of our lives, we will experience, let me rephrase that, we will experience full conflict and full strain. And that is just a part of the existence of society. We have multiple statuses in our society. In American society and other cultures, people will likely hold multiple statuses, and when people hold multiple statuses, then there's a likelihood that real conflict will occur. And that's because there are times when we have expectations with one status and another status, and they don't coincide, and they may compete against one another. So that is role conflict. You are a student, but you also are an employee. So then you have homework to do, but yet you have to be at work. So there you have it. That's role conflict. A strain involves a single status strain. So that involves difficulty in performing the duties that you have associated with one particular status. So being a parent, their role strain can be very common, and being an employee alone can create strain. Being a student alone can create strain. One thing I found in being a college student, it took me a little while to register this, but I found that I tended to work better taking fewer classes. So still a full load, but I wasn't good at juggling like many classes, many units. So I would tend to take 3 classes, and this was these were 4-unit classes. So then I found I was better at focusing on 12 units rather than trying to carry 16 units. And when I tried to carry 16 units, I experienced some strain. So it was the role strain was very difficult and would lead me to not do as well in one of the classes. So that's one example of role strain, but many of the, I'm sure all of you can think of some instances where you experience both role conflict and role strain. So how does this apply to the film? Well, think about some of the social positions that Jeannie had. So Jeannie was a daughter. She became a part of this, a patient.
So here she's talking about the girl.
She was a patient, but she was also a research subject, kind of. So that
wait,
kind of
hold
objectifying
up.
her, but that also was happening with Jeannie at some point. Jeannie's
Yeah, Jeannie was some girl that was like trapped in a house or whatever, and they found her.
Research subject, object, research study. You don't have to put it. It doesn't sound good. Patient. So those are all statuses that she had. Some of her abused child. So some of her statuses were ascribed. Some of them were achieved. So ascribed. There's some she was born into, or she assumed involuntarily, and there's some where she did something in order to reach that particular social position. She had a position that dominated all others, and we can think about a master status from her point of view. But that also relates to this idea of if Jeannie had a self, was she able to kind of think about what she saw as a position that kind of was most important for her? In addition, she had status up. She had multiple statuses that were part of her life, and those statuses expanded after she was found. And Jeannie was found by when her mother was seeking social services. Her mother had decided to leave her husband, who was abusive, and she took Jeannie and was seeking social services, so help from social workers. And her mother was nearly blind, and so since when social workers saw Jeannie, they underestimated what her age was, so they thought she was much younger because of her lack of physical development, and were quite shocked at her age. So they thought she was about 6 or 7 years old, and she turned out to be 13.
What?
So we can certainly apply, we can give some thought to these terms.
That's fucking crazy.
We can apply many of even the theories that we learned from chapter 4, section 4.3. We can apply those to the film Secret of the Wild Child. We can apply the last self, for instance. Jeannie might have perceived herself in certain ways based upon the way that others were acting towards her. Think about that. Think about all the people who were involved in.
Yeah. So this girl that got trapped away
so that is kind of a little bit
was what's it called? Oh, please tell me it's gonna show me. Okay, thank God.
Feel free to let me know if there's something else you'd like me to go over. Please let me know so you can post that on the website. So
Yeah, so Jeannie was like trapped as a kid or whatever,
you can ask in an email. So that is probably.
and she just couldn't develop like a normal kid or whatever. So she had all these like fucked up psychological things going on with her, and they found her, and yeah, they thought she was like 6, but she ended up being like 13 or some shit. That's fucking crazy. That's the video I'm gonna watch right here. This one. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick though. You know what? I might just call that a stream. That was an hour, solid hour. Getting some momentum. I'm gonna start streaming a lot.